In this video, I'm gonna explain simply why JAK X Combat Racing is a masterpiece racing game. Are you ready? Let's go! First off, plot. JAK X Combat Racing was released in 2005 and was the fourth game in the Jak and Daxter series. And in this different style of game, Jak, Daxter and their friends are invited to Crash City for the reading of Crew's will. You might remember Crew as the immensely obese, slimeball crime boss that you worked for in Heaven City during the events of Jak 2. As it turns out, in Jak X, Crew poisons Jak, Daxter, Keira, Aisling Torn, and his own daughter, also known as Rain. Well, technically, and also, spoiler alert, Crew's daughter Rain was part of the plan from the beginning, and the plot twist is that she planned everything in order to take down the Crash City crime boss Mizo so that she could become the new head. And now, Jak and Daxter and their friends must win the Crash City Championship to be provided with the antidotes. Easy? Not really. In fact, they have to go up against other crazy lunatic drivers through different race modes who will stop at nothing to take them out. Also, more and more antagonists appear throughout the course of the game to make their heroes' task even harder. Antagonists like Razor, UR86 and Cleaver. Luckily, Sig is also there to help our friends, so Team Heroes has one additional ally.
The odds makers say your team falls short.
That's because most fools haven't figured me into the mix.
Sig!
And that is what makes this video game interesting. Its plot. It's simply dope. You get hooked from the very beginning, and you explore the story throughout the cutscenes, and you can't really stop until you reach the very end to see what's going to happen. Unlike most racing games of our time that are only focused on, well, racing, Jak X also placed emphasis on the story, and that's what makes it stand out. Many racing games become dull after a while, because once you have tried the different race modes and different cars, then there is not much interest left in the game. Well, not the case in Jak X, where only the plot itself forces you to play until the very end.
And just then, I pushed Jak to safety as the car exploded in a fiery inferno.
Next up, and strongly connected to the plot, is of course the characters. You simply can't have a good story without having great characters. And the Jak and Daxter franchise has given us some of the best and most memorable characters of all time.
Yeah, whatever.
And the nice part is that every character has similar stakes in the game, and so the conflict it creates is amazing. Another thing that I loved about Jak X is the way they handle Keira. In case you don't know, Keira is Jak's main love interest throughout the series. And she played a main role in Jak and Daxter The Precursor Legacy and in Jak 2. However, in Jak 3, Keira went unnoticed for the most part of the game, and it was in no case significant to the whole plot of the game, which was a shame, considering she's one of the leading characters of the franchise. And then, it seems that the developers probably noticed that, and so in Jak X, Keira has her very own storyline. She steps in the spotlight quite more often, and also has interesting conflict with her father Samus, because she wants to prove that she's not only an excellent mechanic, but a great driver too.
You sure know your way around cars, Keira.
I can handle tools, but that's not all I'm good at, Jak.
And so, at some point during the game, she joins the racers team to race alongside Jak. Moving on, gameplay. Okay, if the plot and characters don't really connect with you, and you simply want the game for its gameplay, then you're in for a treat. Jak X Combat Racing combines a racing element with a shooting element, and the whole gameplay simply goes up to another level. Instead of just racing and trying to see which is the faster car and the faster driver, the combat side of the game puts everything at stake, and every racer from the leader until the very last one has the same chance of winning. Almost. There are many different weapons that the players can use in order to destroy anyone in front of them. Weapons like the machine gun, grenades, missiles, the Peacemaker who always targets the leader of the race, and of course the Supernova, which simply destroys anyone who is in front of you at that moment. And you can acquire an attacking weapon by picking up Yellow Echo. So there's that, but not only that, as these were simply the attacking weapons, but to add even more greatness to the gameplay, players can also acquire defensive weapons by getting Red Echo, which are more efficient for the leaders of the race and can help you maintain your lead. Weapons like mine traps, exploding drones, slippery oil, turrets, shields, and even more. And if someone is not satisfied with all that huge range of attacking and defensive weapons, then, believe it or not, there is actually more. The developers were genius enough to install a Dark Eco meter on the screen, and if you manage to take out enough opponents while also staying alive for a while, the Dark Eco meter increases as you deal and receive damage. And eventually, it goes full, and that is where the fun begins. Because when the Dark Eco meter is full, then automatically all the weapons you pick up are instantly upgraded, becoming way more powerful and way more efficient. For example, instead of getting a shield that simply protects you, you now get a Dark Eco shield that destroys anyone who dares come close to you. Or the Peacemaker, which normally takes out the leader of the race, will now take out the first 3 of the race. However, having a full Dark Eco meter does not mean you are invisible. You can still get destroyed and then the meter gets reset and goes empty again. So my point is that the gameplay is so unique and exciting that it is very hard to get bored, as it gives equal opportunity to all the racers for the bigger part of the race. But in addition to that, it is also very strategic, as you have to be very mindful to employ your weapons properly at the right moment in order to increase their effect and help you win. You can also pick up green and blue eco, which are health and turbo boost respectively, in order to maximize your performance. There is just so much to it, but bear in mind that having a fast car is also necessary, as if you don't, even if you get the best attacking weapons, you will still struggle to catch up with the other racers. And if you think that was all JAK X had in store, wrong! This was just one game mode. Which brings me to the next point. JAK X provides you with so many different modes that makes the game almost impossible to become dull. Apart from the main circuit races, where I discussed in detail, you also have to go through different styles. For example, the deathmatch, hosted in small arenas where you simply have to kill the most opponents. Or the freeze rally, where you have to pick up freeze points to help you finish under a specific time limit. And also, the sport hunt, the rush hour, the death race, and many more. What is more interesting is that the cars you have available, which you can also customize their appearance and performance to your liking, have also different qualities. For example, some cars have more armor, or a better engine, or a bigger gearbox. So again, you have to think strategically and choose the appropriate car for every race. Or at least consider which quality of your car you'd like to upgrade depending on your upcoming race modes. So you see, while the game is indeed guns blazing and racing fast, it's not just that. You have to be strategic and mindful if you want to win the different game modes and advance through the story. On the negative side, sometimes the gameplay can become a bit annoying. And especially with certain vehicles, the steering can get quite dodgy and sometimes the handling makes the game even more difficult. If you played the game, then you know what I mean. But of course, that's kinda normal. I mean, no game is perfect, and to be frank, a lot of racing games are also struggling with this same issue. And lastly is the attention to detail, which is what makes this game so unique, especially to the fans of Jak and Daxter. It is obvious that the developers devoted time to include different elements and details that we saw in the previous games. I already mentioned the characters, so I won't do it again. The eco element and continuity is the best in my opinion. I'll explain. Green eco is used to get extra health as it was in the previous games, while blue eco is used as a turbo booster since blue eco is related to speed, as we've seen in previous games. For example, in Jak and Daxter the Precursor Legacy, blue eco made you faster, and in Jak 2 and 3, blue eco weapons are the ones with a higher rate of fire. Similar cases are the yellow and red eco, which also maintain the qualities and attributes that they had in previous games, with yellow eco related to long-range attacks and red eco to short range and more concentrated power. Also, we see the names of the 4 cups you have to beat in order to win the championship also share the 4 common eco types. Another amazing detail is that if you've played the previous installments of the franchise, then you unlock secret drivers to play with, such as all the versions of Jak throughout the games, Simon, Ozma, Taryn, and Kaidin from the Daxter spin-off, and also Ratchet from Ratchet Gladiator. And to end this, they also paid homage to the world map, and you get to go back to Haven and Spargo City on top of the new Crash City and the Icelands. To sum up, The game's sensation of speed is impressive, as well as the variety provided by the different modes and the multiplayer functionality. Even though it suffered from the occasional difficulty spike and loose handling of the vehicles, the game is a nicely presented and well-rounded combat racer which benefits from a strong storyline and multiple game modes, and of course, it was later added to the Sony's Greatest Hits section. And that, my friends, is my opinion on why JAK X is one of the best racing games ever made. If you played JAK X, then let me know in the comments below if you agree with this. If you haven't, maybe it's about time to give it a go and see for yourself. Before you go, smash like, subscribe. Until the next one, have an amazing time, and I'll see you all later.
Well, Jack, it's over. There's just one thing left to say. I am your father.
What?